We're in Columbia, I think, or something. I've written it all. Yeah, Columbia room. Okay. My name is Randy McLean. I am the legislative chair for MRTA in the state of Missouri. I took over for Linda Greason. Linda Greason, a good friend of mine, an awesome lady. Hate what she's going through. Cancer is just, it's a beast. It's an evil thing. But she's battling because she's a battler. And that's how I got here. In your President's Summit package, President Handbook, that pages 25 through 29, I believe it is, has some things that I'm not going to read to you because you're teachers and you can read very well. But it talks about the legislative goals and the platform. I will read the charge. What's our purpose? To encourage MRTA members to work actively with government and its entities for beneficial legislation so that all public school retirees may live healthy, vital lives and be secure economically, socially, and professionally in retirement. To increase MRTA membership by strengthening numbers so we can work on legislative officials. Now, one of the basic goals, one of the things I think a big thing you can do is make sure your unit has a legislative chair. And you guys know how it is. My shoulders are still hurt from being twisted into every position I've ever been into. And so you guys know how it is. Arm twist, ride, beg, whatever to get somebody to fill that position. Because I send out, and I'll talk more about that, but I send out information weekly to the region legislative chairs. That list is growing. I picked up 4 new names at the last meeting, 4 last night. And 5 at a Region 10 meeting. So I'm just going to keep adding to that list. It used to say MRTA Region Legislative Chairs. Now I say and others because there's more and more people that want to be involved in that. So, and I'm going to add 2 names from this meeting. But that's coming from me. You know, people don't know. I mean, people around the area that I'm in may know me, maybe not. But they will know your unit legislative person. So they know that chair, oh, this came from fill in the blank. And you know who they are, and the other members know who they are. So it matters more than coming from me. Or honestly, now obviously when it comes from MRTA office, you know, that kind of opens up your eyes and you go, whoa, this is a big deal. But from that piece, just, that's the big thing. So make sure you have one, because it's the amount of legislation that's being enacted yearly is just mind-boggling, bizarre, I mean unbelievable. The amount of legislation that is tagging education in some way, shape, or form is just incredible. So it's important that you have people in place so that they can get that information, because again, it'll mean more coming from them than from me. Just looking back at what we've done in the past, and again, one of the things that I hated as a coach, teacher, principal, filling many roles that I used to be in is when people said, well, we've always done it this way. That's okay, and then why us? Oh, well then that's not a good reason, because it makes, we are looking at everything we've done. And one of the things that I want to do, and I told Maria and Sarah both, I don't think, I mean, again, whatever we've done. But we should look at a different approach. You know, one of my questions, and I've asked this many times, is how we do legislative day, is that effective? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I can answer that. I mean, is it effective to put 400 or 500 people in the Capitol? I don't. Maybe it is. Maybe it's great. Or then I hear stories, well, I go by the office of my elected official. I've stopped using a representative because of my own experiences, but the elected official, and they close the door. Or I talk to their secretary or their aide or whatever, and I never see them. And so is that effective? And you know, I have a friend of mine who's a doctor, and that's good to have a friend that's a doctor, I guess, but they said, well, we have a white coat day. So they all go down there in white coats, and there's probably hundreds and hundreds of doctors. And I think pretty much every group in the state does that. So I don't know if it's effective or not. But that's one of the things I guess I'd want to ask you. If it's effective, let's keep doing it. If it's not, let's find a better way to get at it, like we did with the videos and things this year. You know, I mean, we need to look at every single thing we do, because the past is just that. It's the past. We would get together in July, and we've already looked at new dates for that. And put together a platform that would impact, that would talk about Missouri, would talk about Social Security, with federal issues, state issues, and some things were revolving around education itself, charter schools, vouchers, that type of stuff. And then we put this several platform, and it's in page 25 through 29 of your awesomely covers everything under the sun handbook that you have for president. And then we would wait. We would wait for some legislator to do something that was detrimental to us as MRTA members, like Jared Taylor, and and again, so many things look good on paper, but the reality of it is, you know what it was like to be a first-year teacher. I do. I mean, I had nothing. Flat. I mean, I was writing checks for $2.50 when I had $5 in the bank, and then bouncing checks, because we didn't get anything. You know, and you guys could tell me your salaries when you started, and I know mine was $10,400, and I coached 3 sports. You know, so let's get in a line. Tell me this. I'm going to be in a line that is 14, you're going to take 14.5% out of my check. All right, go get in this line over here that only takes 3. Get me here, baby, because I need every cent I can get. But then, tomorrow's not promised, and for kids today, young teachers going in, they're going to do that, and then when they're where we are, where most of us have already exhausted our own contribution and our schools, and we're on other people's investments, they wouldn't have that. So we went at him, MRTA did, and it won. It made a big deal. And it was, honestly, the same thing happened Monday. I mean, who knows if O'Donnell really made a mistake in drafting that bill, or if he just said, oh, wow, look at all these voices and all these people are getting at me. I don't want to be a Jared Taylor, you know, so he changes. I don't know. It's tough. You know what? End result, good thing. So that's really what matters. But I think we were more reactive than proactive, is my point. And that's not how we work. Teachers aren't reactive. You're proactive. You know what it's like. You guys were teachers. I taught for 14 years before they drug me pleading to become an administrator, so I don't want you to think I was one of those guys that don't know what it's like in a classroom. But you know the kid that you got a proximity, and you're proactive. And you think ahead to do things to get at kids and get a better way of a lesson plan. And you know how it is. You're all proactive. We need to be proactive. That's one of the things that I think that we have to do a better job of. And one of the things we can do is we can be a united voice with other groups. Because like Richard Phillips in the video talked about Chamber of Commerce, Lions Club, those types of things. David Baker talked about Farm Bureau and other groups. Because as David said, Dr. Baker said, what the most important thing in your community, more than likely, is a school and church. And it might be church and school. And you hope, pray to God that it is church and school. But I grew up in a little place called Breckenridge. There's 55 kids there now, K-12. They still have a school. I won't even get into that. That's a whole other subject for another day, or maybe not at all. And it's in between Chillicothe and St. Joe, if that means anything to you. And then went to Warrensburg to CMSU, which became UCM, and got degrees from there. Came to Oak Grove in 1980 and still there. And I already have a plot to put me in the ground. So that's going to be home. That's where I finish my race. Or now it's more of a walk. But anyway, that community, though, means the world to me. And those people, and fill in the blank, you put your community's name in there. They love the kids in school. The reason people move to Oak Grove, it's not because, I shared yesterday, not to work at a truck stop or Walmart. It's because of the schools. And they love their band. Oh my. The band, choir, football, basketball, on the track, wrestling. I mean, and of course they love what happens in the classroom. And they love the teachers. And so the point of that is, why wouldn't we reach out to people that have the same mindset of wanting what's best for your community and our community? Would it not make more sense? A question in the last session was, how How's that going? You know, that other groups that we're reaching out to, we want to reach out to. We want to reach out to MSTA, MNEA, the School Administrators Coalition, which is superintendents, principals, middle school, high school, principals, elementary, SPED, counselors, librarians, career tech, a whole bunch of other groups. And I'll be honest with you, they're kind of like, what? You guys want to like talk to us and we want to be all together in this? But you know what? I got an email this morning that Lindbergh is a strong organization, has had nothing to do with MRTA, but they heard that we have a new director in Maria Walton. No offense to the past is the past. Moving forward. But so they would like to look at talking to her and talking to us. The Massa group, the superintendents, invited her to the table. And so that's one of the things. So we'll get there. We'll get there. It may be a kind of a slow path, but we'll get there. Oh man, I'm out of here already? No. Okay, good. I feel like I'm running nonstop and go. But one of the things, and the other piece that we want to look at is being able to localize you guys. So, for example, if and I know Dr. Baker reached out to Sarah and said, Sarah, can we get the MRTA members that are in like fill in the blank? Doug Ritchie, I'll use him, or I'll use mine. Chris Sander, District 33. He's my elected official, not my representative, because he doesn't represent anything I feel good about. He's already said I will vote for every charter bill and every voucher bill that comes across the House floor. He doesn't represent me, but he's the elected official in my area, and I've already made calls to try to get somebody to run against him because that was a conversation we had. I said, well, I guess I'll just have to do my best to make sure you don't get reelected, because a good friend of mine who was a principal many years ago told me, Randy, when you lose control, someone else gains it. And there was a time when I lost control many times as a young coach and teacher, and so now I didn't punch him in the mouth like I wanted to. I just backed off and said, okay, I'll just try my best to make sure you don't get reelected. And I'm going to try to do that. But like that, let's say I want to know the MRTA members in District 33 House of Reps. We can't do that now, but we're looking at ways to be able to do that. And that would localize lots of things, because then we could say, hey, let's reach out to every MRTA member in Doug Ritchie's district. He's Excelsior Springs, which touches small schools, Missouri City, Oric, North Kansas City School District, Liberty School District. And he wants to put charter schools in your district, and he wants to expand the funding from 90% to 100%. Do you know that? You probably don't. And then also, then you begin to know, we want to be able to figure out, okay, what school districts are impacted. Now, personally, I already reached out to everybody in my elected officials, District 33. I sent an email to every school district superintendent and principal that Chris Sander touched and said, this is what he said. And I just want you to know that he's not going to be supportive of anything in public education, which was well accepted by people. And then they all said, oh yeah, do you know, by the way, Senator Rick Bratton, he's a treat too. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because there's a guy from Pleasant Hill who's a senator that's got kids in public schools in Pleasant Hill, and he's one, bizarre. No, and one of the things that's a struggle right now, and that's another, that I could just go on and on, because one of the things is, it's like a media grab. You know, even if it's crazy, they'll say something crazy so they get recognition. I mean, no offense to Eric Smith, there's probably some good things he's done, but you know, how many charter schools or parochial schools has he sued for mask mandates? Zero. All public schools. So instead, he cost us, because of Fitzpatrick jumping on board, our state treasurer, that cost us $43,000 in a bond sale of Grove alone. You know, come on, man. What are you doing? You know, just, yeah, again, I talked to Jeannie Lauer, who I appreciate and miss. She's working for Jackson County now, but she told me Sunday at church, in fact, said, you can't make sense of nonsense. I'm gonna use that, because you really can't. But, what makes sense is that like my time to shut up?
No.
You got 5 minutes, you're doing good.
Okay, but that's one of the things we want to be a different voice, we want to be a louder voice, we want to be a collaborative voice, so that we help communities and we help public schools, because it's an attack. I had a conversation with and I may have shared this yesterday. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I had a conversation with a person who's on the school of a district, and he thinks that the only thing going on in public schools anymore, as I shared, I think I did share that yesterday, is 1612, critical race theory and LGBTQ curriculum. And that's not true. That's not true. Sure, we're not the same as we used to be, but public schools are still doing great things, and we want to make sure we let people know that. And that's one thing, we have to change the narrative. I mean, when people say all that stuff, that's like, I said, that's not true. Where are you getting that? Prove it. I was down in Region 10, I don't know if anybody's here from that region, but that's one of the things we talked about, was like, ask them where they get their information. Where is that coming from? Oh, you read on the internet, we know that's true. Seriously, find out the information, yes.
Well, I'm just gonna say that I was on Facebook and somebody was really blasting them, and I said, I don't know where you are from, but I said, I'm from Northwest Missouri, and this is not true at all.
No, there's so many things, but one of the things I learned back in the day as a young administrator was that people believe what they perceive, but perceptions are not always accurate, but that's what they believe. So we got to change the narrative. We got to do, and one of the things that upsets me about public school educators, and it's really, I shouldn't say upset, because it's what I love about you, is you're humble people. You care about kids. You've devoted your life to giving. I'm getting goosebumps and fighting tears just saying it. But we don't talk about ourselves. We don't say what a great job we're doing. Our kids that went through that you touched do, but not enough. And we got to get that voice out to where that voice is, hey, there's still great things going on. I had an email from a teacher that was worried this week because we're on spring break and worried about those kids not getting a meal. And granted, that's not a majority of them, but if it's one, that's too many. On and on. There's still great things going on in public schools, and we need to be more, because we know, because you were there, and you're part of the reason, a big part of the reason why great things took place in schools, and the yous that replaced you are still doing that. So if you have any questions, I thank you, Sarah, or whoever put my number, because I'm like, oh, I should have had cards, but my name and email address is on the front of that legislative piece. One of the other things, if you want someone to receive, or you want to receive the information I share 2 reports, and because I believe they're concise. I'm not an MNEA member, but MNEA has a good summary piece of legislation, a little bit of a piece about their stuff, but that's okay. And I send that out, and then I send the Missouri School Administrators Coalition, which includes all those groups I mentioned earlier, and that they have a detailed listing of all the legislation that's going on. And I share that once a week, and only once a week, because I could bury you, and I don't want to, because I want the people receiving that to read that information. Now, there's going to be times like the stuff that comes from Missouri School Coalition, and I usually preface that and say, you'll notice there's 2 things that they're calling for action. They're calling for action on, not us. One of them was to Clark Michon, who's a good friend of mine. He's the executive director from Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals. He said, you're going to be there today? I said, I'm busy, but I'm there in spirit, man, because the open enrollment bill is up for a 3rd reading, and then maybe perfected and all. And so they have a rally today at the governor's mansion. So
is that 1552 or House Bill 15?
I think it's 1814.
Yes, 1814.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm asking is my granddaughter is in a charter school, and I says my tax dollars should not, be going to that. And but because she's in a charter school in Kansas City, I'm on their email list. And I just got an email today, action needed today, you know, all students deserve fair and equitable funding. Before Thursday, critical action is requested of you to help the funding bill pass where we could get $2 million this year, you know, of this money, you know. And, you know, they have, you know, contact your representative, do all this, you know, and I'm just going like, wait a minute.
I wonder if that's for Richie's bill.
What's the
The
number?
charter.
1552.
I think that's Richie's charter bill.
It said it would, equate to more than $2 million a year for our school, just for that particular charter school. And, you know,
Well, it would be a 10% increase
Mhm.
for every student they have.
And
And if
it's-
there's Fed money with that, associated with that kid, they get it too, if that
and,
passes.
you know, and it has a link where they have a pre-written message, you know, that you can
Yeah.
send to your representative, and it'll even tell you, it says they can have a list, you can send it to the people who have voted no on this bill, so that you can encourage them to change their vote.
See, that, we need to be doing that kind of stuff. Obviously, the other side is out there doing the same thing, so we just need to do a better job of that. But thank you so much for your efforts, thank you for what you're doing, thank you for the voice that you are, you have been, and then you will be. We're gonna get stronger, we're gonna make more of a difference, and we need to tell people that public education is not what they think it is. It's better, and much, much better. Yes,
So, how many of you have a legislative forum meeting with your members?
We've done one, and I'm hoping to do one again.
We
in
do.
October.
this is Blue Springs, this is a great idea.
We do one each year.
And they invite all the area
And then
legislators.
we invite all the area legislators to
Yeah.
come in. We had to cancel our first one because of weather, except one person did it.
My elected official, who didn't respond to them,
But he didn't
and then,
respond.
but shows up, he said, and there was nobody there, nobody told me.
So we have rescheduled again for April 1st. And so far,
No food.
we have 3 or 4. We didn't invite him.
Election years,
Yeah,
election years.